Hello, my name is Eric Follick. I'm a Platonist contemplative ascetic and renunciant. I would like to read for you a very little short piece that consists of a question that I received by email from an inquirer and my brief response. The question is about the Platonic dialectic and understanding it and logic, and I replied to that. If you would like to see the print version of this, uh, you can see it at my various uh, other venues, platonist asceticism.blogspot.com. That's platonist asceticism.blogspot.com. And it's also at independent.academia.edu/Eric Follick with a capital E and a capital F and no space. So again, that's independent.academia.edu/Eric Follick. Okay, so here we go. I hope this may be of interest or help to somebody. So the question is, to better understand how Plato thought, I want to learn more about how the Greeks in general thought about metaphor and analogy. Plato's philosophical style I characterize as heavily analogical. The way the dialectic in general unfolds is never linear or logical. What are your thoughts? Are there any texts on analogical reasoning that can help me get a better grasp on the dialectic? Okay, so that's the question I received from someone. Here is my response. Okay. So my answer is, I'm afraid that this is one that I can't help with much. I don't know of any text on analogical reasoning, and I have never looked for any such, nor any works on the way the Greeks in general use metaphor and analogy, since again, I have never looked for or been interested in such. I don't know how many of my works you have read or watched on my internet venues, but you will see that I view Platonism and Plato's own teaching as spiritual teaching for the contemplative ascetic practice and ascent, not as, quote, thinking or, quote, thought in the modern sense or the modern idea of, quote, philosophy. The dialectic is not a matter of discursive thinking or reasoning based on sense data, but rather is the contemplative ascetic practice of placing the soul in direct contact with Nous. That's, the Greek word nous, Nous, in English transcription, what I've often translated as the divine mind thought, the second Platonic hypostasis, and the forms therein in meditation/contemplation. The purpose of the, quote, dialectic in the dialogues and the, quote, reasoning in the enneads is to facilitate this and help prepare the mind and soul for being able, after long, great effort, both in asceticism and contemplation/meditation, to make the ascent and enter this condition of contact with and assimilation to Nous, the divine mind thought, to enter the, quote, dialectical samadhi, quote, unquote, as it were, to borrow a Sanskrit word from the Indian and derivative systems. I then have parenthetically, in general, by far, I think the closest analogies or systems most useful for the Platonic practitioner for comparison are the Indian origin systems of certain schools of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, rather than Aristotelianism or the later modern Western systems of, quote, philosophy based solely on thinking about things without yogic practice. I have, if it is of any help, translated quite literally Plotinus's short Ennead 1.3 on dialectic at my internet venues and in my book. And there would be a video of that too on this YouTube channel. And my book refers to the little book published 2 years ago that just contains my various pieces from the internet up to that point and is self-published by Lulu and is inexpensive, only $10.95. I don't get any money from it or significant. So anyway, I don't know if you have a translation of Plotinus or the Enneads, but some of the more accessible Enneads, such as 5.1, 1.6, and 6.9, might be helpful to you in general, along with the Phaedo, as I have mentioned, and the core books of the Republic, which add more explicitly about the good, the one, to the teaching of the Phaedo. And actually, really, if you took those three Enneads that I mentioned and the Phaedo and those core books of the Republic, that would be enough actually to attain release if one could fully understand them and put them into practice. Today I was rereading Ennead 1.6 on beauty in Greek, as I have many times, and was particularly struck by the statement, quote, "But wisdom is the mental act in turning away from the things below and bringing the soul towards the things above," unquote. That's my own rough translation. That is, it is principally and authentically attained in contemplation, turning the soul away from the senses and their objects and towards the higher hypostases. And to do this requires renunciant and ascetic practice, and this is as necessary as thinking to understand how things are and Plato's teaching. Just as an example, as incomprehensible as it may be to most moderns, and particularly professor types, being a vegetarian, or preferably actually vegan, is as essential to being able to understand Plato as any degree of later, quote, any degree of knowledge of later, quote, philosophical systems or historical knowledge, exclamation point. So there you have it. That's pretty short. But I wanted to share that with anyone out there who would be interested. I hope you liked it or is helpful. And the real thing is, if it would encourage anybody to persevere, to experience the wonderful dialectic samadhi, as I called it, through great years of long effort, hard effort that are more than worth it. And remember that it's actually only accessible to true Platonist contemplative ascetics and renunciants. It's nothing that's worthwhile comes easy. As the ancient Greek saying goes, kalepa takala, beautiful, good, or noble things are difficult. Anyway, that's all. I hope that's helpful, and thank you for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.